And I think we're live. I hope we're live. I can't see the screen anymore, so I'm just guessing we're live. So I'm going to go, we're live! Hello, everybody. Thanks for your patience. We discussed with Richard about changing times so it was easier and we didn't overlap, and then Richard forgot that we did that and then thought he'd hadn't. Yeah, he's here now. He's okay. He's not dead and falling down the stairs, so that's pretty much the main thing. So we've got Lucy. She's offered to read tonight with her wonderful voice and guest with us. We've got Dave, not Dave, in the top corner. And
good evening.
Yep, perfect. We're all going to get some different points of view tonight, which is good, just purely based on happenstance. So, Richard, I was asked earlier in a discussion on Discord if we could do a wee synopsis of where you sort of stand. And I know that you did that last time and it took like 20 minutes. So I'm going to do a wee small synopsis, also for Lucy's benefit. And if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. We'll not fight over semantics and different words, but if I'm wrong, let me know I'm wrong. Richard is a believer that parts of the Bible are historic, and the fact that they have not yet happened here on this earth. They have happened on a different earth. Other parts of the Bible are prophetic and are going to happen in a planetary scale, in more of an ancient alien sort of thing. It is, and yeah, perfect. He believes that there is possibility of 20 something happened times before, Richard. So many Earths? 23 Earths. 23 Earths. This is Earth number 24. And what you see behind Richard is the picture of heaven being actually spaceships, and that's the view that you will see of them while looking up from Earth. Thumbs up for that, Richard?
Aye.
Perfect. Right, so on that note, we are reading the book of Enoch, and it is also can be considered scripturally textual, not the Bible, but we're going to get Richard's point of view, because Richard does believe in Nephilim. Richard, I have a picture I could send you that we found of a Nephilim basketball player from Korea. Sammy sent it to me. His arms do look a little bit bigger.
All we have to do is look up the statistics on the individual players, and it'll say if they would fit in Da Vinci's box or not.
Perfect. Now, Lucy has a question.
Is the book of Enoch in the Bible, or is it a separate book?
Actually, the Bible was partially written off the book of Enoch, so it's the other way around.
Okay.
Enoch in the Bible is, I think, Noah's great-grandfather.
Brilliant, thank you.
And the book of Enoch is in the Ethiopian Bible, which is the one that we are reading from, because they kept it as mainstream. So we've went with the mainstream, so to speak, version of the book of Enoch. This one, did we say, was 1859, this copy's from? Something like that?
1833, unless I'm mistaken.
That's
when Oxford University did their first printing of it. Transliterated by a different college, but the papers that we have found date the Book of Enoch in physicality all the way back to 300 to 200 BCE.
Perfect. And the version that we're using, I think, is originally written in 1863, a year younger than the version you were using, which was 1864. I have noticed as well, it has split this, Richard. I scrolled down to find out where chapter 12 was, And after chapter 11, there is an entire section which covers what we have just read from the point of view of the scholars of Oxford or wherever this is from. So we can highlight that and skip it and possibly go back to it at the end, or if you want we can go through it, but it's fucking loads. It's more than what the bloody book is.
Right. It usually is. The scholarship view of it is usually more than the text itself.
Yeah. So Lucy, if you want to read, if everyone else is happy with that, we're all caught up. No, Richard, you were to do a thing from last week. What did we do last week? Remember you said each episode will start with what we, from
okay,
last week?
so the only thing that I felt pressed to look into over the week was the my claim that the genetic dissimilarities from the Nephilim traits, which are recessive, actually exist on this earth in reality in some families. So I started looking into that, but my gosh, there's so much about genetics on NCBI and NIH. I can't remember the letters right now, sorry. There's so much there to find. I've just not found it again yet, although I've found some preliminary stuff that's going to lead me there.
Yeah, well, cool. I just wanted to give you a chance to go over that, as we said every time, from the week before last.
I'd love to. I'm going to need more time on finding that.
That's
specific,
cool. I think Sammy just typed in big, tall basketball player and looked through some pictures. Took a lot less time, and this guy has really long arms. So,
well, you can go to websites that have the actual statistics of players. You can just look up player statistics, and it'll have wingspan and height as two different measurements that shouldn't be so different, by the way. It should be within a small range, maybe 3 inches or less.
Yeah.
And some of these differences are quite significant.
Wingspan.
Well,
Wingspan. That's what they call it.
let's get started. So, Lucy, if you could read, where's my wee cursor? Can we hear? There we go. I need you to read down to there.
Okay. Chapter 11, and in those days I will open the storerooms of blessings which are in heaven, in order to bring them down upon the earth, upon the deeds and labour of the children of men. 2, peace and rectitude will become associates in all the days of the world, and in all the generations of the world.
Perfect.
Amen.
You didn't need to say 2, but perfect.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay. You don't read the Bible and things like this. There's chapters and verses. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
Richard, your point of view.
This number 2 right here would just identify the next verse, but all that is for labeling, and so people can find things easily, and not in any of these original texts. So actually in the Christian text, all these chapter numbers and verse numbers didn't exist in the original text. It was all continuous. Just so people generally know that. In case.
When did we get the chapter and verse?
I think that was Nicaea, or however you like to pronounce that. Is when they started doing that stuff.
Yeah. It just makes it easier to find. That's all. But
Yeah.
as Richard says, it's just generally a verse. It's generally continuous, sorry.
Yeah, it was originally continuous. In fact, some of the places I feel, they split up the sentences and they split up the paragraphs in the wrong places occasionally. Not constantly, but occasionally. It seems to me in the context I've adopted, they've done that. But anyway.
So, right, on your view, Richard, apart from Lucy has a lovely reading voice, what was your opinion of...
Yeah, she sounds much cooler than me with this American accent. It sucks. But anyway. Okay, so I think the storerooms throughout this work is not supposed to be a actual physical place where things are stored. After all, it's talking about pouring out blessings. Well, blessings also, again, then wouldn't be physical. So it's an expression, storerooms.
Yeah, I would agree with you that it's a metaphor. All the good things are going to come from heaven, and we're all going to lay them down upon the people of the earth who did nice things.
Right. So you'll notice here it says all the generations of the world, right? And become associates in all the days of the world. Okay, so this does not look very, very exclusive. So I think that this text and the Bible and other stories doesn't talk about a specific people.
Well, considering that
being
we just to say,
blessed.
considering that we were already in the tone of metaphor, I would just say that the whole thing about all the days and all the generations is just another continuation of the metaphor to just explain all. The same as with the 10,000 soldiers when there's only 5, and it's an exaggerated term to get the point across.
Still, I think that if there is a God, that God would own the whole planet, not parts thereof, and own all the people, not some tribe thereof.
But you would agree that he can't own all the generations because he doesn't control time.
I was going to say, do you not think generations is still from a root source?
I'm sorry, could you paraphrase that, because I'm not sure I understand the question.
No, okay. Are we assuming here that there was an Adam and an Eve?
Yes.
Okay, fine. I'll accept generations. Okay.
Yeah, I think this is all inclusive. I mean, even if you take an evolutionary view of our existence, there's still lineage and relationship all the way back to a singular.
Yeah, but it's metaphor, then it's real, and then it's metaphor, and it's why. That's what I'm just saying. That the whole thing continuation with all generations of the world, I would just say that that's a metaphor as well. He can't.
If my memory serves me throughout this text, it's going to use these same expressions repeatedly, and that's why I take the view that I do of it.
I would imagine that would be why the Catholics would not want something like this, because they wanted it narrowed down.
Yes, of course. We want to be the exclusive club who's correct.
But when it says children of men, that implies that there's going to be a generation missed out.
You missed
Why?
last week's.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we had a wee bit of trouble last week between the not definitions, but defining who's getting killed and who's not getting killed, and we went through that. I think it was episode 1 or episode 2, and yeah, I think the piece is obviously going to the good people, like the humans who didn't ride the angels, and the bad people being the Nephilim and the angels. So anything that's bad is usually happening to them, and anything that's good is happening to us lovely human people.
Okay.
That sums it up pretty good.
It didn't take me 20 minutes. Okay, right, Richard. This is where this is all picking
commentary.
All commentary, and here is chapter 12. So that would be all of this.
Voiceover lady, it's your turn.
Yay! Right. Okay, so chapter 12. This is section 3. Can I say section 3?
Yes.
And previous to all these things, Enoch was hidden, and not one of the children of men knew where he was hidden, and where he was, and what had become of him. And all his deeds were with the holy ones, and with the watchers in his days. And I, Enoch, was praising the great Lord and the King of the world, and behold, the watchers called to me, Enoch, the scribe, and said to me, Enoch, thou scribe of justice, go, announce to the watchers of heaven, who have left the high heaven and the holy, eternal place, and have contaminated themselves with women, and have done as the children of men do, and have taken to themselves wives, and are contaminated in the great contamination upon the earth. But upon earth they shall have no peace, nor forgiveness of sin, for they will not enjoy their children. They will see the murder of their beloved ones, and they will lament over the destruction of their children, and will petition to eternity, but mercy and peace will not be unto them.
Yeah, no, it's really drawn out. I could have just summed that up in about 2 minutes. It's basically, Enoch's been told to go tell the bad angels that everything's going to get fucked up and their kids are going to get killed, and they're going to have to sit and watch for eternity and feel bad because their kids are dead.
There is one other thing to point out here. That it was watchers. It was watchers who told him to go and tell the other watchers.
Yes, but it was the two good watchers. It was, what do you call the original? Michael Angel, wasn't it? And the other fella that we don't know who he is, he's just hanging with Michael.
So this suggests there's
Gabriel?
other watchers who did not fall. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, I think we established that because there was two sitting watching. Wasn't it Michael or was it Gabriel and some other fella we didn't know?
Yeah, and some other fellow we didn't know.
Yeah, some
That's
other guy
right.
we didn't know. Well, everybody knows Michael and Gabriel from the Bible. You know,
Sure,
the angel Michael
sure.
and the angel Gabriel, and then there was some that we didn't know. So, yeah, they were sitting having a pint over them, and they noticed this shit going on.
Like the language that they use, like contamination, contaminated, like that just suggests, like, because these men have gone and made children and contaminated themselves with women.
No,
Like,
these are angels that have come down from earth about 7-8
Right.
foot tall, and they thought women were lovely, so they rid the women, and then they had Nephilim, which are half angel, half human, and God did not allow this.
right.
So,
In fact, they knew better.
yeah.
Okay. So that's where the word contamination comes from.
Yes, because the human bloodline, so to speak, has been contaminated.
Right.
In those families. Not
Yeah.
all of it.
Not all of it, yes. They didn't raid every woman on the earth. That just to be a long,
Right, no.
long nights. Have you any input, Dave?
It sounds like early inherent racism.
Sexism, maybe.
Well,
No.
racism, if you consider the children of God versus
Yeah.
the sons of God versus the daughters of men, I guess you could consider it, yeah, two different races, some racism going on.
Oh, maybe.
Okay.
Isn't that what you meant?
No, not quite. I think I might be. Ignore me on that point.
Expound a bit if you like.
No, don't, no. I lost
Okay.
track halfway through anyway. So
Lucy, are you ready?
I'm still just pondering over this bit.
Well, let us
Like-
hear your
Go ahead.
thoughts. Let us hear your
Like-
thoughts. That's why you're here.
So God hasn't said this to Enoch. Some other
No,
guys have
well-
just
well, if
rocked
you-
up and said,
God told some of the watchers to go and tell the other watchers. And then them other
Right.
watchers then came and told Enoch. So it
Okay.
has worked. They actually were sitting watching what was going on, and they went and told God, here, look what these fuckers are doing. And God went, right, well, that's not right. We may sort this shit out. Go and tell them we're coming to get them. And then they've went
Okay.
and told Enoch, because he's on earth, and he is then going to tell the other watchers, the other angels who are on earth, riding all around them, yous are fucked.
okay,
There's a few things to point out about that.
My
Just
translation
because
or the
somebody is
story?
an angel. What's that?
I says my translation or the story.
The story. This means that just being an angel doesn't give you instant access to everything God says or thinks. So then apparently God can select groups to talk to and not others at choice, at will. Okay?
So he's not telepathic, he's not everywhere, he has a physical form and he can stand in front of you and talk to you.
That sure is what it looks like to me, like it can be selected for. Like God might talk to you, doesn't talk to me simultaneously.
why didn't he make angels like without flaws? Do you see what I mean? I don't know how to put it out there. Like,
is it-
why would they have done it?
'Cause
It seems to me that if you were in a perfect situation, if it were actually perfect, and you were to leave that situation voluntarily, you'd have to believe you had something better somewhere else, like significantly better.
Yeah.
So if it's true that heaven is perfect for our kind, then they accepted something that wasn't true. That is, they accepted a lie.
Right.
Okay. So apparently it's plausible to believe that based on that an angel could have free will and maybe even be a little gullible.
Okay.
Ignore
you.
me, I'm just highlighting the area in purple, which we haven't read, as we did last
Right.
time. Just so we know which bits that haven't been read. So, keeping us right. I'm keeping us right. Okay?
Wait. Why'd you make the part that we haven't read red? Because
It's purple.
it should be non-red.
It's purple, and it says it's pink. So it's wrong in every way.
It's purple, it's pink, and it wasn't red.
Yeah, it's like that dress. Was it
I'm
blue and
confused.
gold or black and green? What the fuck, or whatever it was. Okay, chapter 13. So Azazel, as we have, he is one of the Watchers.
Okay.
Lucy, just for reference, I pronounce it Azazel.
Azazel.
I pronounce it Azazel, and Richard pronounces it as.
I'll just say Azazel.
Okay.
Okay.
Azazel.
Yeah, chapter. Yep. Go for it. Do you want me to highlight it, or because you'd be grand?
No, don't highlight it. It's fine. I'll just put my finger up to the screen like this. Sorry. Okay. Chapter 13 then. And Enoch departing said to Azazel, thou wilt have no peace, and a great condemnation has come upon thee, and he, i.e. Raphael, will blind thee, and alleviation and intercession and mercy will not be unto thee, and because thou hast taught oppression, and because of all the deeds of abuse, oppression, and sin which thou hast shown to the children of men. And then going, I spoke to them all together, and they were all afraid. Fear and trembling seized them.
Pause
and
a wee
they
second.
asked me.
Pause a wee second.
Sorry.
Richard sometimes likes to jump in, and I think he's being polite because you're reading. And Richard, if you do feel the need to just focus on one wee part as it goes along, because this is quite a big chapter, I don't think Lucy would mind if you jumped in.
Lucy, could I just use pause, please? Is that be okay if I just ask pause? Okay.
Say whatever you like, mate. It's really difficult to read.
Yes, it is. The wording is very much. Well, this has been translated more than once to get to this stage of history, but it's worded very Middle English.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Which wasn't necessary when they did the transliteration, but anyway, we were already past that. Okay, so this just is emphasizing what else is in the text about the condemnation of the Watchers, that they will receive no mercy, that they have no chance at a redemption like the people of this planet have. And also, it's going to expound on that soon, talking about the Nephilim, also the children. I guess it already stated it once, will also have no mercy. That was it.
Right?
I feel like it's really harsh towards the children
Why?
because they haven't done anything wrong yet.
And saying that now, the Nephilim that we have established because of the contamination of the human and angel DNA combination and their actual stature, they use it for their benefit, and they're basically cocky bastards running around bullying people when they grow up. And
I just feel like, to me, when I hear the word children, the connotations that come into my head are of innocence and non-malice type creatures. I don't know what, so.
Well, the babies did nothing, but Richard did establish that generally when they grow up, they are condemned. The actual original sin that the Bible talks about is the Nephilim DNA in.
But here they're
So there are
describing
no
them as
innocent
children.
children.
For this part, they're saying children. They're not saying grown-up children. They're saying children. So it's almost
it's
like
children
they're
of
saying
men.
they're gonna.
I'm not defending Richard. I'm just saying in context. I'm trying to fill in the blanks of what we've missed and what he's already established, because I have asked some of these questions, and children of men just sort of means humans, and then the other people are the children of them, the Nephilim. They are bad. It doesn't necessarily in reference to their age. It's in reference to their lineage.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and that would be extremely unfair and prejudice if it wasn't for one certain piece of Christian doctrine being defeated by these texts. And that is ascension into heaven is physical and is done with a physical body if you happen to be alive at that time. If you happen to have died before that, physical flesh restored. And I'm not completely alone in that understanding. There's a lot of Christians who believe that, or see that in the text is probably more accurate. So because their genetics have been disrupted by this event, their physical self cannot be fixed. You can't turn a mule back into a horse. It just doesn't work out. So I have physically measured some Nephilim and found a great difference in their quote-unquote wingspan, their width with their palms facing.
Is this contamination not everyone?
No, it's a recessive trait in certain families, apparently.
But we know that genetically, within 6,000 years, everyone is related.
It's even
no,
less
that's not necessarily true. Do you mean by blood or by marriage?
I mean by genetics.
By genetics,
everyone
yes.
Everyone outside of sub-Saharan Africa is genetically related.
Are you talking about mitochondrial relationships?
No.
What do you mean by?
I can send you a video link, Richard, after the stream that will actually break down the mathematics and show and exactly how it is possible. And I think it's even less than 6,000. It can be shown anywhere between 500 and 5,000. It's somewhere between that. It came out after the royal bloodline baby was born, and they named it Everybody's a Royal Baby, because if you go back long enough, everybody's related.
Okay. So there's certain things that are passed down from one generation to the next, and there are certain things that are not. This is apparently one of those things which is not always passed down. Mm-hmm. Even if we have genetic relationship, does not mean necessarily that you or anyone in your... Look, just measure yourself. Just stand as Christ crucified and measure yourself and measure people in your family, and you can see if you fit into Da Vinci's box or not. Simple as that. So I know of one family in particular, which... They're occasionally, not every child, occasionally there is a child whose height width difference is greatly varied. And it doesn't have anything to do with whether or not you're an adult. It shows up no matter what your age is. Whereas 90% more of people that measure even within that family where it appears they measure. However, there was 2 that didn't. And a pretty good sized family.
I still think you're going to be even recessive traits tend to remain within the code.
Yeah, or else it could never come up at all.
Yes, which means that if this is the case, that pretty much everyone is in some way contaminated by their DNA.
Well, I guess we could look into that. I can't really speak to that intelligently because I don't have the background in genetics that I would need to speak to that, really.
I was just struggling. If there is just 0.001%, that's it. There's no chance of ascension.
Apparently it's by measurement, physical measurement.
No, what I mean is, yes, but my point is there is no going to heaven if there is any amount of...
No, there's no way their flesh goes to heaven. I never said anything about any other part of them.
Got you.
We cleared that last week because I asked the same question, man. Is their physical body can't be fixed.
You need the physical body?
Not sure on the spirit.
I'm sorry, Critical. I could hear MathPig, but could not hear you.
He answered my question.
He said, do you need a physical body to go to heaven?
Do you need one? No, apparently genetics can be traced back and your body can be remade. Like, I don't know, think of it as like custom-made people. But people who already existed to be physically restored. if you happen to be, according to what I can tell from the text, if you happen to be alive for end times and you accept it, you just go body and all. You might as well just call it an alien abduction.
But didn't you say that the Nephilim, I've forgotten how it's pronounced, can't be restored?
Right. They have to have their physical body destroyed, and then a decision is made if they are going to heaven or not. That is, if they're cool, right? And then they can be restored flesh. But it doesn't say that they don't get their flesh restored, but it does say they have a human spirit. So the human spirit thing is judged individually, but the flesh has to go.
So it might be justification for why everyone can't automatically go.
Well, it's certainly why the Nephilim don't go.
Well, you could, yeah, that physically would stand out. I think that's Richard's point with the whole Michelangelo thing. The difference between their wingspan and height would be more than 3 inches.
It would be obvious if someone's a Nephilim. You've seen a few people in your life, perhaps, that as they stand erect, that their fingertips come way past about mid-thigh and almost down to their knee. You've seen this, and we make jokes about it.
But surely if it's recessive...
It's not such a joke.
If it's recessive, the parents are going to have it as well, even if it doesn't even if it doesn't show in their proportions.
So now you're asking me to know what kind of genetic test exactly is used and
what genetic? You said it's obvious in the
in those that it comes out in those it's not recessive in where it manifests physically. Yeah, it's obvious.
But there are ones that it's not obvious. Is what I'm asking. Obviously.
Okay. So all I'm saying is I don't know enough about genetics and what this improvement process is to say whether or not, if it's just recessive and doesn't show up in the individual, if that individual can be genetically freed and become quote unquote perfect. I just don't know that.
Okay.
It's a little bit technical for my education level. Sorry.
Fair enough.
Can you get
It
hold
sounds a
of...
bit like, say you have like two average height parents, and then you have a child who has dwarfism. Like you don't know, there's no like trait of it in your family, the dwarfism, or you randomly have twins. Like you can't explain that.
I think what you just referred to could be like, okay, you could consider twins a birth defect, where it's split when it wasn't supposed to into two individuals. You could say, well, that's kind of a happenstance of the process of development of a fetus. So that's cool. But dwarfism, other than a birth defect because of environmental poisoning, dwarfism would run in the family as well. So I'm talking about something that's recessive that runs in the family that causes their bodies to not be able to be perfected, which is not the same as their spirit can't go to heaven, or that their flesh can't get a normal body later. It doesn't say that. But it does say that their physical flesh has to be destroyed.
Richard, can I ask you, can you get hold of Discord without disconnecting yourself from this and look at a DM?
Yeah, I just won't be able to see this screen. I can do it.
That's okay. Would you look at that for 1 second and give me your opinion on that picture I just sent you?
Is it the basketball player?
It is the basketball player.
In the red shirt?
Yes.
I've seen it. Okay, what about it?
What would you consider? Would you think he would be a Nephilim? I know we haven't measured his stats.
Are those his relatives in the picture with him?
I have no idea. Sammy Jenkins?
Neither do I, so I can't say.
Well, Sammy sent that to me, but relative to his arms and legs.
Yeah. Well, I can't tell if that's photo angle or what that is. Because if my memory serves me well, his arms are kind of coming out toward the camera, so I can't tell.
That's an honest answer and truthful, so that I appreciate that.
Where he's standing erect with his hands at his sides and his palms open against his thighs, I could make a guesstimation where his fingertips land on his thigh bone should be somewhere around halfway down between the hip joint and the knee. For almost everyone it is. But for those with that extended arm length, without a birth defect, they don't have a birth defect. They're healthy and strong, usually intelligent and beautiful. and very well coordinated. It's not a birth defect that makes them like this. Birth defects don't count.
Have you anything to add to that, Dave, before we move on?
No, not at the moment.
Perfect. Lucy is lost in Googling and has no... she's like trying to catch
I
up.
was actually trying to check the Discord to see the picture for myself, but I think you sent it in a private DM. So.
Oh, I will put it in the general chat if you wish to see it. Or I
Why
can-
You know, the easiest way to see this, guys, the easiest way to see this is just look up statistics for National Basketball Association players. That's the easiest way to find it. You don't have to guess. They have the actual measurements.
Oh no, we should be able to do it here if I can. Right, no, there's it there.
So is that Yao? Is that guy's something like that? Yao or Mao or something like that?
I'm not sure, man. I was thinking that you could look up Rockets number 11 and see where that goes from. I'm not sure. Remember, Sammy Jenkins sent it to me.
Well, if that's the Korean man, his parents are only about 5'5", and he's 7'4".
Well, if them people are normal people, right, and that's a standard middle-aged
Sure.
mother, I would assume she's about 5.5 foot.
Yeah.
That's her son. He's, probably about, age-wise, that would be probably right that if she's 5 foot, he's fucking massive then.
Yeah.
And even if she's 6 foot, or even if she's 4 foot, that's
We all understand that if you reproduce with a person who's about your size, your child should grow up to about your size. We all understand that.
Yeah.
And we all look at something like this and we say, wow, that's weird that dude came from that family. And it is weird. We just don't really look at it critically.
Well, I can totally get you in that, man. I've seen studies where they've checked a small population, like a small village, maybe a wee bit bigger than a village in Indonesia or the Philippines or somewhere around there, and they actually have a genetic trait that makes them immune to malaria.
Convenient.
They're just totally convenient. And it turned out that it was a hominid that was there before that was immune to the malaria, and whenever Homo sapien had moved into that area, they had then bred with them and back and forth, and eventually over time it could, they only keep what bit's good, but that then became of that local population standard human DNA was this genetic proportion against malaria.
And I'm assuming you mean without sickle cell anemia.
Oh no, they were totally healthy and fine. It was just like getting bit by a wasp or something for us. You just smacked it and moved on.
Right.
So, back to Enoch then, since we've maybe got an Nephilim here. Rockets 11, if somebody wants to look him up. And if I do this right, perfect, this is working well. Right, we'll go 4 to 8. And if you want to bring out your beautiful voice again then, Lucy.
Okay. And they asked me to write a memorial petition for them that they thereby might attain forgiveness and to carry their memorial petition before God into heaven. For they could not, from now on, speak with him, not could they raise their eyes towards heaven from shame on account of their sins for which they were being punished. Then I wrote, stop moving it around. Then I wrote this memorial petition and prayed with reference to their souls and for each of their deeds and for that which they had asked of me, that they thereby might obtain forgiveness and patience. And going, I sat down near the waters of Dan in Dan, which is to the right, i.e. south of the evening side, i.e. west of Hermon, and read their memorial petition till I fell asleep. And behold, a dream came to me, and visions fell upon me, and I saw the vision of chastisement to show to the sons of heaven and to upbraid them.
Thank you.
That's lovely. I think all of that's pretty clear. Anybody with any questions, except for the word upbraid. Upbraid means to correct.
Yeah, in the context that would make sense, yeah. Yeah, so basically, for anyone who doesn't really get the short version, he has to write a letter, bring it to God, say please give them some forgiveness. They can't go tell him any more themselves because they've been naughty. And he goes to the river, which is southwest of Hermon. He reads his petition, he passes out, and he has a dream. Any disagreement there, Richard?
No, apparently he read it several times and finally fell out.
Oh yeah, he got bored stupid and just passed out.
Got bored stupid, yep, and just
reading it and reading it and reading it. It happens sometimes. You know, he's walked a long way. He's probably tired.
So basically, that's just saying God's put the phone down on him now. He's blocked him on Twitter.
Right.
Yep.
In future, if they want to speak to him, write a snail mail letter, put it in the post. Yeah?
Have your best friend write a letter instead.
Bring the letter. No, they wrote the letter. The best friend is bringing the letter.
Right. So they're trying to sneak around it.
But then is he really like being a bit sneaky about it? Because now Enoch's having a dream. So is that a line of communication that God uses?
Certainly.
The old dream, I'm going to come into your head via a dream, but I'm going to tell everyone I'm not talking to you.
We have established that God can be telepathic to a certain level with people he chooses.
Yeah.
I think to answer to the spirit of your question, God never had anything against Enoch.
Okay.
Yeah, Enoch's cool. Enoch's a human just hanging about, being cool. And he was
being cool.
just being cool, you know. And the Watchers
Enoch
picked him.
Right, that was pretty cool.
The Watchers picked him to give the message to the bad angels, and whenever he was leaving, the bad angels was like, well, look, when you're going back, we've wrote a wee letter here saying as he won't answer our phone calls and blocked us on Twitter. Will you take this wee note and send it back to him on your way back? And he's like, right. So he goes and he does that and passes out of boredom because God doesn't turn up, and then he gets a vision.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we are.
That brings us to 9, right?
Right. There's some words here.
Wait, let MathPig move it all he wants to.
Yeah.
Have I done
Let me
something
know when
wrong?
you've settled, MathPig.
Have I done wrong? Blame MathPig. Yeah, hashtag blame MathPig.
Richard, you might want to read this one because there's words on here that I don't understand. So
That's okay. I don't know them either.
That's Ubershell, Lebanon, Censor.
Right. Okay. And having become awake, I went to them, and they were all sitting assembled, lamenting at Yuzajwajwa, which is between Lebanon and Sensenana, with their faces covered. And I related before them all the visions that I had seen in my sleep, and commenced to speak those words of justice to upbraid the watchmen of heaven.
So basically, he told them his dream said they all had to be beaten up.
Oh, it's going to go into great detail.
Great.
You didn't read on ahead, though. You've only read this once. You're just remembering from memory. You promised you wouldn't read on
I'm
ahead.
just remembering from 2012.
Yeah, you haven't read on ahead, no?
No.
Okay.
Are their faces covered by shame, or are they just...
That's a good question. I think in human nature, no matter where you're from, there's certain things that are commonality of expression, such as when I am embarrassed, I might put my head down. You know, that's something that people just do. If they were in a collective, some kind of a gathering, and they had all of them had their faces covered, I'd say they either had, you know, their elbows on their knees and their faces in their hands, or they were maybe there was some kind of table there and they put their arms and put their head down on their arms, something like that. I think would covering the face. Maybe they have really big hoods. I don't know. Either way, it looks like being ashamed.
Yeah.
Are we allowed off-topic comments?
Are you going to say what's being mentioned in the chat? You don't need to.
You've got 301.
Did we?
Oh, congratulations, MathPig.
And I didn't add alerts to the Richard stream, specifically so it wouldn't draw attention away from the Richard stream. I removed it earlier. Whenever I said I wanted to go live and get it while we were live, I just wanted to remove it.
Then play it down coolly and we move on.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate everybody. 300 subs. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I beat Be Mindful. I knew I'd beat Be Mindful to 300. Sorry, B. You're probably at work, but Richard will tell you later. Ha ha ha. Right.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Okay, chapter 14. And we'll go down to there. I think that's
Okay,
the
chapter 14. This writing is the word of justice and the admonition of the watchers who are from eternity, as the Holy and Great One commanded it in this vision. I saw in my sleep what I will now relate with a tongue of flesh and with my breath, which the Great One has given to the mouth of men, that they might converse with it and understand it in their hearts. As he has created and given to men the power to understand the word of knowledge, thus also he has created me and given to me the power to upbraid the watchers, the sons of heaven. I have written your petition, and in my vision it appeared to me thus, that your petition will not be granted in all the days of the world, and that judgment has been passed over you, and nothing will be granted unto you.
Those are some really interesting lines. Judgment has been passed over you in all the days of the world.
Oh, did it get serious? I was in the live chat. Sorry.
Yeah, it got serious.
No parole ever.
It's going to get worse. I feel like it's going to get worse.
No, you're right, it will. But the petition will not be granted in all the days of the world, and that judgment has been passed over you, and nothing will be granted unto you. Okay, so all of the days of the world here, I think, is a phrase meaning all the time that man is on the planet. I think that's pretty easy to justify. So that judgment has been passed over them means judgment will not be exercised on them, which means they're not yet dead. They have not been judged. But nothing will be granted unto you. Well, if I was in a situation where nothing is granted unto me, but I did not have freedom, but I was passed over for judgment, it sounds like I'm awaiting trial. So yeah. I think they're awaiting trial.
No. I think that when it says judgment has passed over you, it means judgment has been made. Surely.
Let's see. I can certainly see reading it that way. Let's see if there's context we can extract from here that would grant or refute.
Do you want me to read a little bit more?
The all the days of the world part right there, I think, speaks to the other context. What do you think, Cripple?
Well, it says your petition will not be granted.
Right.
That sounds like a judgment. We will not grant you this.
Well, what was the petition asking for?
I've forgotten.
Apologies and it was looking to say sorry, and it's saying that your petition will not be granted. So in other words, fuck off. We're not speaking to you. God has now banned you on Twitter, Facebook, and WhatsApp.
I'm not going to refriend you. Forget it.
Yeah, we're done. What was that woman who wrote that song? We ain't getting back together again.
Taylor Swift.
There you go.
Oh
that
God,
shit's
MathPig.
real. There you go. I'm trying to be all hip with the kids. I'm hip with the kids.
I was thinking Gloria Gaynor. I will survive.
Oh, there you go. You're showing your age. I'm trying to be hip with the kids, you know. But that's basically what's happened. To give a general context to the people who, to make it modern. That's what's happening.
Don't feel bad, Critical. I thought it was a Patsy Cline quote, so, you know.
Am I the only one trying to stay on topic here?
We are. We're just making relative to the audience.
There's cool people in the channel. We have to relate.
Yeah, but don't, I just dropped,
Oh my
Boom.
goodness.
Yeah, we're all modern. So, yeah, now that we've just broken the internet, are we moving on to chapter or verse 5 then?
I think we broke the internet last time when we were talking about horse masturbation, but
Yeah, I have to send you the video. The person in the chat, Watchtower Watcher in the chat. Did you see the video?
I've seen it.
Yeah, thanks very much.
You
Richard
blamed me for it.
Richard, yeah, it's totally your fault. It is your fault.
It's just nature.
Richard,
It's okay.
you do realize it's happening again because you said some things earlier about the guy standing erect and all that there, and it just, yeah, it's.
Oh, jeez.
No, I've got
I
both
kept
of
a
us
really
saying.
straight face for that.
Yeah, she nearly pissed herself laughing. It was hilarious. And now I've got
This
me
is what you
saying all
have-
them words.
This is what happens when you have a channel that is made up of serious content and people that take the piss constantly.
Sorry, what was that? I coughed. I didn't hear you. Serious content with what?
And people that take the piss constantly.
But I think it makes it entertaining. I think it comedy spreads intelligence, and it pushes the limits. You look at any sort of comedian in and around the time, not so much now, but comedy is about pushing limits and making things relative, and it helps get the point across.
It does.
It definitely does.
Okay.
I think she's ready for you to move the screen and highlight things from 10.
Actually, I
No,
only
I'm on 5 now.
Or was that? Or you
Oh,
already
yeah.
have it.
Yeah,
Yes,
we're
I've
good.
already done it, Richard.
See, I'm lost. You're faster than I am. Didn't even see you do it.
And from now on, ye will not ascend into heaven to all eternity, and upon earth it has been decreed, they shall bind you. Bind you. I made it worse then. Bind you for all the days of the world. But before, I'm getting tired now, sorry. But before this, ye will have seen the destruction of your beloved children, and ye will not be able to possess them, but they shall fall before you by the sword. Your petition for them will not be granted unto you, nor the one for yourselves. And while ye are weeping and praying, ye cannot speak a single word from the writing which I have written.
Do you want to wait there? Do you want to take a pause? Richard's being polite. Do you want to take a pause? Do you want to comment on that wee bit, Richard?
No, I don't want to comment on anything. I'm just kidding you. Of course I do.
That's awful.
It gets
who would
worse.
pick a MathPig? Who would ever do that, Lucy? That's awful.
No, she's talking about the text, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Back to
It actually gets more harsh. If we consider the word sword in context, this would mean truth. Like the truth that God has spoken, this kind of sword. Not necessarily that they're going to watch their kids get beheaded, but the truth of the prophecy will kill them. They will die. And they will witness that. That means they haven't yet died. Okay? So I think this speaks, especially in the part, they shall bind you for all the days of the world. Speaks to them still not having been actually executed judgment upon, just cut off from God, not having any reprieve. So I think that works well with that last part that Critical was postulating could go either way, and I agree it could have. Your petition for them will not be granted unto you, nor the sons of your sons, nor the ones for yourselves. And while you're weeping and praying, you cannot speak a single word from the writing which I have written. And that would have been the petition right there, I think. So it's, I think it's saying that the watchers themselves, not the Nephilim, the watchers will outlive their children, the Nephilim.
Yes.
They will see all this happen.
Are the Nephilim eternal?
Eternal beings. I think all spirits are eternal. I think our flesh here is not. Whether there be an end to the world or not, whether there be end times or not, we don't have eternal flesh. chapter
No,
6,
Just
which
to do a wee
refers to...
quick, just jump in. I think it might be relevant to point out what Richard said towards the end of the last one, last episode. Whenever we die, we go to heaven and we get a body that lasts approximately 5,000 years. That would be right, Richard?
I don't know about any time limit, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, and then you're going, you last. It's immortal, and you like start over.
Now, that's not... I'm actually trying to say that the text is saying eternal, not immortal. So immortal would be like bulletproof. Eternal would mean that you wouldn't die of old age.
Yeah, no, totally.
Or disease
I
or
watch
whatever.
Dragon Ball Z. There's people who are eternal and there's people who are immortal.
But my question is not about humans. My question is about the
Do they live
Are
longer than normal?
They're on Earth watching the children that they produced. Will they
Right.
will they outlive their generations?
Oh, there's nothing here that says they're on Earth right now.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
But they will be in vicinity at the time to witness it.
Got you.
But that's at the end of the time of man being on the earth, for all the days of man on earth. Something like that.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Okay. Are we all covered? We all sorted?
It's just pretty fucking harsh, isn't it? Like,
It's not nice.
God's obviously really pissed off with them.
Well, the genetic
Really mad.
line, it has been...
I actually contest, Lucy, that this is the original sin and the only actual sin that is described in the Bible, and why in chapter 6 that the life of man is limited to less than 130 years, 120 years max. And this is when that happens, even though Christians will normally say that Adam and Eve were the first to sin. That doesn't follow, and they weren't punished. In fact, they lived to be ripe old people with lots of kids.
But even that's shit, because wasn't the snake an angel that's fallen from heaven, so he sinned to begin with?
So create a StreamYard stream, and I'll have a whole discussion with you.
It wasn't Satan.
I will.
Like,
whole
he's the
Satan thing.
original fallen angel, isn't he?
No, that's all.
No, we're diverging off topic. We're going to diverge off topic. We'll keep
It's
this on
fine.
topic, right? And we can have a totally different stream after that. We could even continue the stream
Sure.
and have an after party and do a different thing, and we can just completely go off topic, and you and Richard can meet each other. But at the minute, for the next 30 minutes, we are going to
I
do
just came
this.
to read.
Shut up,
I
it's
just
my
came to
channel.
read.
Shut up, it's my channel, all right?
You're lovely, and I like what your brain is doing, and critical thank you as well.
Yeah, I think this is going to end up being the most viewed episode ever because it's...
Probably.
Yeah. It's fun, it's real, and we get real points of view. And I get boring, and everybody just thinks Richard's insane. So getting Lucy's point of view and getting Critical's point of view...
He's not boring, but people do think I'm insane. That's okay.
So I have highlighted 5 to 8. Is that where we are? Or is it... No, we are 8 onwards?
No. 8 and onwards.
Yes.
8 and onwards.
We'll go to 10.
I've got an air bubble.
Take your time, Lucy, take your time.
Okay. And the vision appeared to me thus: behold, clouds in the vision invited, that's a T, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Invited me, and a fog invited me, and the course of the stars and lightning drove and pressed me, and the winds in the vision gave me wings and drove me, and they lifted me up into heaven, and I went till I approached near a wall which was built of crystals, and a tongue of fire surrounded it, and it began to cause me to fear.
I think she should keep going. That's
Okay.
not the end of the idea.
And I went into the tongue of fire and approached near to a large house which was built of crystals, and the walls of this house were like a floor inlaid with crystals, and the groundwork was of crystals. The ceiling was like the course of the stars and of the lightning, and cherubim
Cherubim.
of fire were between them, and their heaven was water. A flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its doors were burned with fire.
Oh dear.
And I went into this house, and it was hot like fire and cold like ice, and there was nothing pleasant and no life in it. Fear covered me, and trembling seized me. And as I was...
It's not my fault it's on another page.
shaking and trembling, I fell down on my face and saw in a vision. And behold, there was a second house, larger than the other, all whose doors stood open before me, and it was built with a tongue of fire. And in all things it excelled in grandeur and magnificence and size, so that I cannot describe to you its magnificence and its size. Its floor was fire, and above it was lightning and the course of the stars, and its ceiling was also a flaming fire. And I looked and saw therein a high throne. Its appearance was like the hoarfrost, and its circuit like a shining sun, and the voices of cherubim.
Pause, please. That's a good place to stop right there. Okay, so I think at first he was describing, I don't know if you can even imagine this, a limited view of you personally being in outer space. Because as she's reading this now, I'm seeing very much my experience of the dream vision thingy that happened to me, where I was like in space with no spacesuit, and the sun was burning hot, but the shade was ice cold, and the floor of crystals and the walls of crystals and all this, but the crystals are actually fire. I think it's talking about stars. And then, of course, the closer you are to a singular thing, the bigger it appears. I think he's talking about the physical, or the perception of heaven close up to him that he's entering into in the second half of that. So I think that's what's going on here, although it seems very cryptic.
May I ask you a question? Now, I have mentioned this already. You are just coming at this and not even hesitating. Is this because that you are so involved in it, or because these ideas are coming to you as we reading it? And I know that you've read it once before 7 years ago. I couldn't remember the menu I read in the freaking restaurant 2 weeks ago, but you know, I know you don't drink or smoke.
No, I don't. But I smoke cigarettes.
Yeah. I just want to put across that it's either you're cheating and you've read ahead, or you've thought about obviously the Book of Enoch from your first reading since you've had... Actually,
no, I really haven't thought that much about the Book of Enoch since the first reading. And in fact, I didn't even finish reading it. When I got to the eucalyptus tree, I cut off.
So we are getting your first...
Would you say it's... Shut up. Would you say it's fairer to say that you're fitting it into your the context that you're in?
That's exactly correct. That's context, I'm applying the context that I have for all spiritual text to this, and it just looks really clear to me.
Yes, that's why I'm asking. So what is coming to you is what's coming to you right now, and it's so clear to you because you're showing...
I promise you I'm not cheating. I'm not reading ahead, and I can't read ahead here, and I didn't read ahead while we were off air.
No, I believe you. I understand that the point... I said that earlier, and I believed you when you said it the first time. The point I'm trying to put across is exactly what Critical said. You know what you're applying, you're already set in stone narrative to this story and seeing where it fits and trying to make it fit to your story.
Well, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, we could be reading the Epic of Ramayana, and it would still work. I could explain to you the Epic of Ramayana or Hanuman or whatever you want to do.
Well, have you spoke to on that topic? Have you spoke to Sammy since the J stream?
Since the J stream, I saw his comment, and we had a little Discord thing. He told me that about the Aboriginals, if that's what you're referring to.
Yes.
He said he took my understanding of Genesis that I explained to him. He applied it to the Aboriginal story, and it's telling the same story under that understanding.
I know he.
I've seen so much of that. I'm not. What's
he
that?
texted me after he found it and was all not freaking out, but was like, this damn thing matches up. Like, it matches up, Robbie.
Yeah, that's what's happening to me everywhere I look. So I kind of quit looking. So I've never reviewed the Aboriginal story. But since I see it everywhere, I just kind of assume it's going to be everywhere, and I can't find any exceptions.
Yes, well, everybody knows that me and Richard get on, and obviously he's my co-host on the channel here. And if he had the bandwidth, we would bounce back and forth between channels and do, some on his as well. And I appreciating him letting us do this on this. But I'm not trying to defend the man, but Sammy Jenkins, remember Sammy Jenkins? Yeah, he was all, it fucking freaked me out, man. Fucking freaked me out.
Yeah, he should have been me when this first happened to me. It really freaked me out. At least you've got me to talk to you about this stuff. I didn't have that.
Well, I think one of the messages he says, what was it? I think the line was, I'm starting to think like Richard. So I don't know if that's a comment or a bad thing, or he might shout at me for saying that to everybody. But yeah, no, we appreciate yourself, Richard, and you come across with honesty. And I just wanted to clarify that this is you coming up with you fitting it to your narrative as we go along.
Yeah, this is shooting from the hip. That's what this is.
Cool. Thank you very much. Rich,
And I'm intrigued as to how you get heaven from it rather than hell.
Heaven from what?
I'm intrigued that you read it up until the point we have read.
Yes.
I am intrigued how you are determining it is heaven rather than hell.
It said we went up to heaven.
That's a really good question.
No, it said we were heading, didn't it?
Heaven.
I thought it said we were heading to the heavens.
Yeah, it did say heavens, and that is lowercase, and it could mean outer space or the above area, the outer atmosphere. It could mean any of that.
I think if we were going to hell, it would say we were going to hell. Just saying.
No, let's talk about Enoch going to heaven is what Critical's saying.
Yeah.
And he'd be right. And how do you know if it's uppercase or lowercase, if it's proper noun or not? Yeah, he's got a point there.
This is Enoch speaking about his dream, right?
Right.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fear, not peace.
Right. I expect and this is a little bit off topic, but works. Sorry, I'm going to continue from where Jay and I left off. I think if a class 4 civilization showed up here, we would not really understand it. Never mind being 4,000 years ago.
Agreed.
It would really freak you out.
Yeah.
I think we'd be a better place to deal with it. But
yeah, we're in a little bit better position. Yes.
Like, isn't heaven supposed to be like this big, magnificent thing? So, like, the first time you see it, you're going to have different emotions, aren't you?
I think that the text is accurate, that if a physical heaven showed up here, the first thing we'd do is point and scream alien invasion, and that people would literally crawl into caverns and caves, wishing for the mountain to fall on their heads to hide them from the face of God, because who can stand? I think that's realistic.
Yeah, that's the thing. When Richard says heaven, he means fleet of spaceships.
Yep.
That's
okay.
That's fine.
I'm just making the difference, because when someone says heaven to someone else, it could mean you've got your own mansion and streets are paved with gold. When Richard says heaven, he means, Area 51.
Yeah, something more like that. Yeah. I think that something between Picard's Star Trek and Catholicism is where the truth is. Somewhere between those two.
Sorry, Picard, Star Trek, and
yeah, not Kirk's Star Trek, but Picard's Star Trek.
Have you read
Can you make it
Hyperion?
Cisco? Can you just make it Cisco? Say Cisco Star Trek.
I don't know Cisco. I haven't
Say
watched
Cisco
TV
on one way will
anything
win.
since
We don't want one way to
2012.
win. Cisco is better. Just saying.
Richard, have you read the Hyperion series?
I don't know what that meant. Sorry.
Hyperia, is that the lady that died or was killed by the Christians because of the library or something? Hypatia.
Say again?
I thought it was a
Hypatia.
flower.
Would you like me to read on?
Yes, we are diverging, and we're only going for another 15 minutes anyway, and then we can
Crack
have
that whip, Lucy. Keep them in line.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure when you thought I was coming on that I would be the one to like fuck the stream up, but I'm genuinely interested in this text, and I'm trying to keep on track.
I'm really enjoying the fact that you're here, and I wouldn't go so far as saying impressed, because impressed would be a bad word, but yeah, I'm very much enjoying the fact that you're here, and yeah, you've got a better voice than Richard, definitely.
Thank you,
for
Lucy.
sure.
Don't give me a big head. I just came to read.
No, you're keeping it fun, because we get boring, and that's what we do here at MathPig. You know, we bring everybody together, and you are a makeup channel, and you are here reading a Bible sort of scriptural thing, and as a makeup channel. And I've told you before, if you come on, I would do that. What do you call it? Blusher bingo or something.
Yeah.
And Richard said that he would be up for it as well, and now you've come on.
Count
with
me
Richard.
in.
So we were up for this as well. So if you do another one and tag me and Richard in it, we will definitely do it. And
Yep.
I'll be
We're
on
going to read
camera.
Harry Potter next week, just
What?
saying. We're reading Harry Potter next week.
We're not reading Harry Potter. I'd rather do Blusher Bingo than bloody read Harry Potter. Right. Have I highlighted what we've read or where we're going? I've lost track.
Wait, what's a
we've read.
cherubim?
Okay, so there's going to be a differentiation between what Christians say to that question and what I say to that question.
What do Christians say?
Well, the Christians say it's baby angels,
Okay, so a cherub.
a cherub, right?
Okay.
But some parts of the text have cherubim having 6 wings, where the rest of the text has angels only having 2 wings. So they're freak baby angels or something.
It could be segmented like the skulls. Like your skull is in parts when you're a baby, and it
Yeah.
fuses together as you get older.
That's an interesting thought. Never thought about it. I don't see any other bird-like objects doing that, but okay, sure. What I think that the 6, okay, I'm going to stay off the 6 wing and just stick to cherubim. Cherubim, in my understanding, is used 2 ways to either mean a high angel or a physical object in our near proximity of great importance.
Fair enough.
Something that either way, something we learn from.
Okay.
Um,
I just want to point out, sorry to interrupt real quick, the last time that Lucyluxor did Palette Bingo, it's in the live chat now. The link for that, go and give that a watch, and that's what you're up for next week. Me and Richard's going to do Palette Bingo.
Victor, I'm sorry if I've said your name wrong, says cherubim are the angels who guard the Father's throne. They are not baby angels at all.
Okay, so he's referring to the 4 beasts around God's throne with the faces of a lion, a calf, a man, and an eagle. And he'd be right, they're 6-winged, which is why some Christians think that those are cherubim.
Okay.
So I can't argue with them. That's definitely can be seen in the text.
Okay. Do you want to sort your stuff out, MathPig?
What stuff's that?
It's
Well,
not
I've just
worth
read that.
Right, well then say, MathPig, would you mind moving on to the next few chapters, please? Right, where
That's
we're
what
going.
she
Right.
said.
MathPig, would you mind moving on to the next few chapters, please?
Is it working?
Is it working?
This is passion. Right, we're reading to chapter 14 ends. I'm highlighting this. Hold on, we're going to
Brilliant.
highlight this. That's the end of tonight's episode. And then if we want to continue, I will end this and we'll be back in 5-10 minutes. And we can have a bit of banter. But this is as far as we're going. Talk away. Go, Lucy. If pause, if necessary, Richard, shout it out.
I would.
Right, so where we left off, there was a fuckload of fire. All right, just remember that. And from under the great throne came streams of flaming fire, and it was impossible to look at it. And he who is great in majesty sat thereon. His garment shone more brilliantly than the sun, and was whiter than any hail. None of the angels were able to enter, nor any flesh to look upon the form of the face of the majestic and honored one. Fire of flaming fire was around him, and a great fire stood before him, and none of those who were around him could approach him. 10,000 times 10,000 were before him, but he required not any holy counsel, and the holy ones who were near him did not leave day or night, nor did they depart from him. And I had had so long a veil upon my face, and I trembled. And the Lord called me with his own voice and said to me, "Come hither, Enoch, and to my holy word." And he caused me to arise, and I went to the door, but I bent my face downwards.
Yeah, I think I would too. Like, holy cow. Okay, so this works really well in the book of Revelation, where also you see this kind of picture, this kind of vision described, where there's lightning and thunders and under the throne of God and fire under the throne of God, although it includes a glass floor that is not included here. And it looks to me that although this text came first, Revelation expounds more on the total idea of this. Other people's brains?
A question from the live chat before we carry on. Why can't they see God's face if he is just an alien?
If he's just what?
An alien.
If he has a physicality,
that's
in front of him.
I think the face of God, quote unquote, no man could live having seen the face of God. The words face of God there, I believe, in context is a phrase. It doesn't mean the face of God. It means, quote unquote, the face of God. And that's an event. So it would be true that no man has seen the face of God because it's an event that hasn't happened yet. And it's just one of the signs. I think that when people like the burning bush and God turns his back, all those sorts of things, is talking about our position and how freaked out we'd be by the whole thing. That's what I think.
May I put a penny in there? We 2 cents?
No.
If people in this context, in this culture, were not, stupid, but if something massive and magical like this happened, the automatic thing that they would do is bow down before them. So I don't think it's that no man has seen the face of God, because if you look at it, your head's going to explode. It's the fact that you've got a load of angels around you going, here, this boy's coming, this boy's coming, this boy's coming. And then before he arrives, you bow your head because you've been told by the angels, by the watchers, you are not allowed to look at this man. And you just don't, because of out of reverence and respect and possibly fear. So it's not that you can't look at it, it's just, it's more doctrine that you can't, so you don't. That's what I get from it.
Oh, and speaking of heads exploding and stuff like that, the word live in no man has seen the face of God and lived. That word live right there in context can mean more like without changing significantly. Like you couldn't remain the same. Not that your body would like physically explode or something.
Yeah, well, if you looked
up at God, you couldn't look at things the same way after you saw that.
Yeah, well, if you looked up at God and God looked back at you as another human, I think that's what Richard's point is that the fact that they are very similar to us. And if
we're similar to them.
Similar to them, sorry. And
they came first.
Yeah, if you looked up at God and God looked back at you and he was very, very similar to you, then obviously you would have an epiphany. Shit would change, and possibly the angels could pull out a gun and shoot you because you looked at them when you weren't supposed to, and that's why you don't live. But I think it's more doctrine. I don't think it's a magical effect that happens when you look at them, your head explodes. I think it's...
Although a lot of Christians think things like that.
Yeah. Well, have we any other questions from the chat? And we'll round this episode up. Any questions? We've got Tug going yeet. We've got Watchtower Watchers going ancient aliens for the Ark of the Covenant with radioactive devices. We've got Andrew T. Hello, Andrew. I haven't said hello to you.
About that.
Andrew says you need to make sure you put your makeup on properly. And we've got Victor in. Victor, thank you very much for turning up. Victor, I would like to have you on some night, Victor. It's very relaxed here, as you've seen. We've had a makeup channel read Enoch, so Yeah, we're all cool here. Come on in, have a chat, and yeah, we've got Jefferson Spatchcock, Mr. Shadow Kitty. I think that's everybody. So, if we've no real questions from the chat,
One from Lucy.
Are people, in your opinion, Richard, are people assuming that God is like a human form rather than an alien form? Are you saying that God is like more an alien form than a human form, if you see what I mean?
no, he's not a
Just to
grey. He looks more
clarify.
like us.
I think our ancestors look a lot like us. That is, we look a lot like them.
Right.
And we have a lot of the same abilities and aspects. Even emotion and logic and, pretty much all the same stuff.
But essentially they're aliens.
They're aliens.
Well, only because they don't live
planet.
here.
Okay.
They're not
Only because they
green
don't
aliens.
live here, not because they're so different from us. I think we have a necessity as children on a playground to say my dad's bigger than you, and we start inventing these huge stories about dad that dad really doesn't fit.
So, in your opinion, God is human form?
Sure.
We are his form.
As in, if we were to look at him, he would look like us. We
Right.
would look like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
That's all right.
I think you could refer to them as quote unquote fully evolved. That means by that I mean like genetically perfect, but the
Okay.
same animal that we are.
Because
I've
I
got
think
to ask, how do
when
you define
people
it?
hear the word alien, they obviously think straight away that you're thinking like nanu nanu. Do you know what I mean? So
Yes,
I
I
just
do.
wanted
Yes.
to clarify.
Well, if I could summate every religion on this planet by saying an intelligent who doesn't live here who's powerful. Mm-hmm. That's the
Okay.
description of an alien.
Not to me, it's not. I think
Right.
of the ones with the big eyes.
Well, and beyond that, we're about that close to becoming space travelers. And we're about that close to like solving diseases, solving death from old age. We're really, within 300 years for sure, we'd get almost all that done. What don't you think?
I don't think so, no, because they've actually found a limit to our age and it's something like 147 or something like that.
Yeah,
after
but that limit is potentially expandable. We know what the limits are now, but they are they're things that other species have got around that we
Well,
will
that
be able
is
to
science,
implement.
man. That is
Say again?
science. That is science. We can
Very
always
much
be
so.
disproven. Right.
But
well,
yeah,
I'm
you're
going to
right.
end it
Right
on
now
that.
we have hard limits.
We are going to end it on that, and we might be back in 5-10 minutes. We might not be back in 5-10 minutes. I know Richard's dying for a smoke. And,
Yeah, I'm going to go have a cigarette. You're right.
Yeah, so
I get it clean.
we could be back in 15 minutes. Watch the alerts, people. Hit that bell, hit that sub. Thanks very much. And just as I've got Saturday morning, I'm going to be in the Daily Atheist show. The link's in the description. It'll be 1 p.m. UK time, and he won't let me on unless I show my camera. So you are all going to have to put up with my super fucking awful bad camera. And yeah, let me see if I can get my end screen to work for the end of the night. Thanks very much, people, for coming, and we'll hopefully see you soon.
Bye.